Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. You already know who it is and who it ain't. It ain't your boy and it is your man, the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media. Signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the mother cuss word share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So here's the deal, y'all. Look, I think today I'm gonna put out two messages. This one here is gonna be about the other problem that we tend to forget still exists. And most of us actually know it does. We just tend to forget. And I want to reaffirm to some of my most loyal audience members that I'm not here for the play. And that means that I'm not going to forget about the other issue. I said I am pro-black male, no longer pro-black. That does not mean that I ignore white supremacy and its effects. It's still there, it's real. They would not have it any other way. Dr. Brother Omar Ifatunde Johnson said that those of us in this manosphere are using the black woman as a scapegoat because she's an easier enemy and target than Massa is. And I want to point out that that is not the case, actually. I want to remind us, though, because, see, if he says that we're doing this and we're exonerating Massa, that might be because we tend to forget about Massa. But I want to remind us to not forget about Massa. Now, Dr. Brother Omar Ifatunde is also wrong in that regard because we don't walk around exonerating Massa. What we're more likely to do is just forget. And I'm going to say this to one of my listeners, might even be a subscriber. Shout out to him, Rawan Malik. Assalamu alaikum, blood. I hope that your Eid was good. He mentioned that white supremacy is not the reason behind what's going on in Palestine now, with another escalation in the same conflict as before. This is not a new fight. Remember, this is just one of many flare-ups in an unending conflict. And he says that the conflict there now, or the recent rash of attacks, is actually people defending their homes. And I would agree with him, but he would not agree with me. And see, that's where black folks and non-blacks tend to be different. See, we know that those Zionists that are taking land in Palestine on behalf of Israel are in fact white supremacists. That's why they feel comfortable doing what they're doing. You see, the fact that that place exists over there and not in Germany, Austria, and Poland tells you everything. I don't blame the victims of Hitler for wanting a homeland. Naturally, they need a place in which they will be safe, but they understand that they are not WHITE enough for Europeans, specifically Western Europeans. They understand that they're not. And so consequently, with them realizing this and understanding this, they've decided they're not going to go and say, even though the German population today and the Austrian population today and the Polish population today are very guilt-ridden about what their grandparents did. They're not going to them and say to them, listen, we want a block of land from pieces of Austria, Poland, and Germany. Instead, what they're doing is they're saying, we want you to fund us. We'll figure out where we're going to take a homeland. And they discussed it. And one of the considerations was Eastern Africa, today's Uganda. Why do they discuss always setting up a homeland somewhere where the population was not majority? You understand. Well, because of white supremacy. So with that being said, it's pretty clear to us what's going on in Burma with the Rohingya. That's white supremacy. What's going on in Palestine, that's white supremacy. The reason why they want to take these homes and these lands from a darker group of people are white supremacy. It is white supremacy. And see, what goes on in many other parts of the globe, people fail to realize, boil down to not only Islamophobia or other biases, but also down to white supremacy. And so we need not forget about that. And see, the fact is that our conflict, the conflict in between our two genders within our race, is just really an offset of white supremacy. It's just that this is a bit more outrageous because these same ladies telling us to be race loyal, we're finding out weren't. And there was a time I would have said, no, they've been race loyal. They're just traumatized. Now I've got to say, no, they're traumatized and race disloyal while telling us to be race loyal. So we have a right to talk about this. And I do talk about, I do talk mostly about the gender conflict. And I do tend to limit it to sexual access for a reason. And that is because you can talk about money all day long. The minute that everyone has a particular amount of money, that amount of money will buy nothing. You can talk about resources all day long. The minute a resource is found to be abundant enough for everyone to have a large supply of it, it will no longer be worth anything. But every woman's got a vagina. And there is nothing stopping attractive women from also behaving themselves, at least behaving like men are worth anything to them. Nothing stopping them except their own egos. And of course, the abundance of certain resources in certain environments in which you will find that they will sit up and say, well, if I look like anything, I absolutely will not behave in a manner worth keeping. When you see women sit up and look and say, I will not do both look and act the part, that's where you have, generally speaking, an abundance of resources and a standard of living that women who don't have it would love to get and would pray for. And that's why I tend to talk about that conflict, because the genders do need each other for the species to survive. The human species could continue on right now. So far, the human species actually could continue much more peacefully if white folks were either sequestered, dominated, or gone. And I don't believe in genocide on a racial basis. And so therefore, for me, it means either dominated or sequestered, just for the safety of other people. But the human species is gone if the genders cannot get together and not just bang each other out and conceive babies, but stick together to raise the babies. And even stick together when the babies are no longer babies, but adults of their own. The human species, for development, for existence and for development that would justify our existence, will need the ability for couples to stay together. And it is not men driving women away. So I do talk about that. But at no point am I telling us to forget that we still have an enemy that is behind the treachery and on whose behalf the traitorous Boom Shika Bonquisha Sapphire Gynocrat matriarch has been betraying us in the first place. That there is an enemy behind them on whose behalf they not only come after men, but on whose behalf they even attack women like Kendra Deeve that have not turned around and attacked men. Like Jessica X, trying to dox her and getting the wrong person. Like Napa Shadab, forgive me if I mispronounced her name. Like Shahrazad Ali, who was one of the first ones to drop this stuff on us in the form in which she did it before there was an internet. Behind the traitors that go after these ladies, there is an enemy. I just don't want us to forget about that enemy. That's all I'm saying. And to understand that this enemy is international. I'm not going to say global as if they're every single where, like the atmosphere, but certainly international. And that one of the major differences between black folk, Muslim and not, and non-blacks is the understanding and the consciousness of white supremacy and the resistance to it. Other people are not fully aware of that in the same numbers in which you will find black Africans from the continent, black Africans of American heritage, black Africans of Jamaican heritage, Canadian, British, you will not find the same awareness and resistance to it. When a sister walks into a store and buys skin bleach, there's resistance. When a lady from the subcontinent walks into a store and buys skin bleach, there is no resistance. I shouldn't say none, but it is not the same. I think you get the idea. Thank you for listening. Later on today, I plan to release another one. So anyway, today you get 2 in one day, inshallah. Thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum. And as you know, black, heterosexual, non-select, male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.